Hello, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And oh, look, Dragon, it's been 10 years since Megamind conquered the hearts of people across the world. I don't even know where I'm going with this. But yes, Dragon, we're here to talk about 10 years of Megamind! Mwahaha! Folks, we're still in you know what, Dragon, I feel like half of this is still being in Halloween mode, and half of it is just like, oh my god, what the hell just happened? And I'll leave it at that. Alright, so yes, indeed, Dragon, Megamind 10th anniversary retrospective podcast. I will tell you this, my good friend. Ever since I've known you, I've known that you have been crazy about this movie, one of your all-time favorite DreamWorks movies. And Dragon, I will say I've only seen this movie once. I saw it when it came out on home video. I rented it, and I gotta say, Dragon, the thing that I was most hyped up for was this kind of like rivalry between this General Zod type Will Ferrell character and the Brad Pitt Superman. And Dragon, I don't know if I just wasn't following the marketing, because I think the marketing makes it very clear that Megamind wins very early on. Like, it's not like they hid that plot detail or anything. But Dragon, for the longest time, I have had a grudge against this movie because I was like, but I wanted more Brad Pitt. So, Dragon, having said that, watching this movie as an adult, it is clearly one of DreamWorks' best movies. I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, with that context in mind, I'm just like, oh, Brad Pitt's in it exactly as much as he needs to be, man. God, I mean, what can I say, Dragon? I mean, you have the nostalgia for this, for sure, so I'm sure that you're going to be the one who's kind of singing the praises, you know, a little bit more eloquently for this one. But I gotta tell you, man, I think that I don't necessarily think that this one is up to the same level as the How to Train Your Dragon movies, or, you know, maybe like Shrek 2. But like, it's up there. It'd probably be like solidly in you know, in the top 5 of DreamWorks animated movies. Uh Unless you're like counting stuff like Road to El Dorado and Prince of Egypt, in which it gets a little messy, but it's up there, Dragon. I like it quite a bit. Seriously though, it's got really, really subversive adult themes, but also it's just like a Looney Tune in terms of like the fast-paced comedy and just the action and the stylized humor and everything like that. It's got a little something for everyone. I like it a lot.
All right.
Oh boy, Dragon.
Claude is asking Megamind versus Despicable Me. Which one wins if he means the movies? I mean, easily Megamind. I like Despicable Me, but I mean, come on, we're talking Megamind here. Come on.
Yeah, I have to say Megamind as well. Despicable Me, you know, the thing in that franchise that I have the most fondness for right now, Dragon, is the Universal Studios ride.
And again, I wish I could have gone on that because I was there in that gift shop, but right before they built the ride.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right. Oh man,
My last visit to Florida, like the last time
I'm
ever.
sorry.
Like, that's when they were erecting it, but it wasn't quite there.
Ah, man. But yeah, I mean, that, like, I think that Prince of Egypt is a top tier. Yeah, Claude, I think Prince of Egypt and El Dorado to me are almost, like, untouchable, honestly. But this is up there. This is up there. I don't want to get sidetracked. All right, Dragon, go ahead. What's your thesis / nostalgia?
All right, so no surprise here, as my associate is kindly kind of teed up and kind of polished off the pedestal for Megamind, easily my favorite DreamWorks film, along with Road to El Dorado. I mean, they're really neck and neck. At the very least, as my favorite. I mean, they want to get into the best thing. I could make an argument for Megamind, but regardless, favorite is definitely easily Megamind's my go-to. No question. And El Dorado, again, the two things I have most nostalgia for, probably. I remember it's so funny you mentioned the marketing, T, because for me, I had a little bit of I remember there was a deceptive marketing, at least for the original kind of like teasers and trailers for Megamind, at least for the first two, because basically it teed up what you were expecting, where it was going to be okay. It's going to be
Brad Pitt, Will Ferrell rivalry.
Pretty much, and
I
I
was
thought it
so
was
sold on Brad Pitt as like an egotistical, like not a mean Superman, but just kind of like a, like a Gaston type Superman, if you will.
sure, and that's what I'm saying. So the marketing for me was like I was I saw the marketing for it. It's like, well, I mean, I'm usually in for whatever new DreamWorks movie there is, and it was like, okay, I guess why not? Let's see what this Megamind thing's all about. Because again, I'm intrigued, but I'm a little worried. Like, I don't know if this seems like a bit of like DreamWorks cashing on the superhero genre. I don't know, but so I'm looking at it saying, I
That was
guess I'm gonna.
Monsters versus Aliens.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm looking. Well, again, that's more like the monster stuff than it is superhero movies. But sure.
Well, I'm just
Well,
saying it's the team up.
well, sure. Yeah, you're right. Well, anyway.
Yeah,
So my point is, I'm looking at this thing, and okay, I wonder if this is gonna be like another Monsters versus Aliens or something along that line. Where it's like,
that's what
okay,
I
we're
was
doing
worried
another
about.
sort of thing like that, where it's like, I mean, I'll see it regardless because it's DreamWorks. I'll give them a shot, but by the same token, I just don't. I just I didn't know, and ultimately, it's like the marketing I feel was as deceptive as it was for the cover up the big twist of it. So I didn't really get anything of the big twist in the trailers that I saw, which I wasn't super glued to. I just saw like the first two, and was like, okay, let's see what it is. I think ultimately it was a little too clever for its own good with that because I think a lot of people, had they known like this really clever twist and everything was coming, I think people would have come out of the woodworks a little bit more to see this.
Mhm.
I don't know. Anyway, so for me, this film, wonderful surprise of a movie, and I became obsessed with it. Long story short, I mean, I loved this thing so much
Of
in the
course, I know
theater,
you're
and
a gadget guy.
I know that never hurts either. I just love this thing from top to bottom. I was so again, it was completely 180 from what I was expecting. I had low expectations going. I was completely mind blown after this. Like, oh my god, this was so much better. Where was this in the marketing? My God, look at this.
That's pretty much how I felt about How to Train Your Dragon, the first one.
Sure. And I quote this thing practically like El Dorado. Maybe not as frequently as El Dorado, but I mean, it's again, the Olo and the whole, it's a lot of, it's very quotable. It's very funny. I mean, Minion, probably my favorite element from the movie. I love David Cross's Minion, and the idea of this really awesome looking, pleasant, kind of villain sidekick is awesome. Remember I bought one from the Toys R Us back when that was a thing. With the whole it was like this giant minion that's kind of the size of a Buzz Lightyear, which is
Oh,
awesome.
that's cool.
Anyway, so of course the design work, Megamind's arc, again the gadgets. Need I say more? But I gotta tell you, on the rewatch, especially 10 years later, rewatch, the plotting and the full circle storytelling is exceptional. My
Oh yeah,
God, I mean, it's like the Brad Bird philosophy. Never, we never waste any part of the buffalo. Don't waste. We use every part of the buffalo.
that's what I'm saying. Like I was able to so appreciate the fact that Brad Bird gets or not Brad Bird, Brad Pitt gets like 10 minutes of screen time, and how well placed that 10 minutes of screen time really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, so again, here's the thing. This movie, I think it's like technically quantified as, it's people is kind of cavalier kind of say, oh, yeah, it's the DreamWorks parody of superhero films. Where to me, this thing, it's less DreamWorks parody of superhero films. It's more a subversion of the superhero film. That's what this movie really is to me. That's kind of my thesis bumper sticker right there. It's more subversion of the superhero film. Where DreamWorks, for a change, think about this, T. One of DreamWorks' biggest claims to fame, going all the way back to the beginning, it's the irreverent, edgy take. Katzenberg's always been pushing on stuff like Toy Story back when he was at Disney. He's going for the irreverency, and I feel DreamWorks, for a change, they use this is at a time where they're starting to break away from it. But I'm saying I love how they kind of used what they had, the gas in the tank for, where we're going to use our reverent tone that we've kind of built into the atmosphere with stuff like Shrek, for example. And as a great example of it, and stuff as a less great example like Shark Tale. Terrible example of it. Where we're going to take the irreverent tone that we've cultivated for ourselves, but we're going to use it in our favor, and you make it a little bit more subtle. You're going to use it to our advantage to kind of like have like a tongue-in-cheek irreverency versus like self-aware and tongue-in-cheek versus just like, hey, we're irreverent, right?
Yeah, right.
It's DreamWorks putting story first, which again, this is like in the winning streak of like you Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, and this. Like there's a winning streak there for it. Again, the reason being they put story first, and the results show. So long story short, DreamWorks gem for sure. I mean, you ask anyone who's seen this, like yourself, after you've seen it after a while, people like it, and that's why we're celebrating it 10 years later.
Feels weird that it's 10 years later.
I know, right?
It really does. Oh man, it feels weird that 2010 was a long time ago, Dragon.
How great is it? We had these wonderful kind of swells of movie years, though, like 2010 and 2014. Doesn't it make you feel
2010, 2014, 2019, definitely.
And doesn't it make you feel all rosy inside when you
Dragon,
think
that's
back?
the reason I'm a film fan, man, is to track the years, buddy.
Yep.
I'm in it for the years. All right. Okay, so let's so folks, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of go through act by act.
Yes.
So would you like to start us off, Dragon?
Well, after a little background.
Of course. After a little origin story, if you will.
Yes. All right. So a little background here, folks. How we get the movie made. So in 2003, got this writing duo, Alan Schoolcraft or Schulcraft, depending on who you ask, and Brett Simons. They're pitching this idea to each other, and they're writing down this notebook. Like, what if a villain beat their hero? Kind of a man who killed, like the man who killed Batman-esque idea. What if the villain actually killed the hero? So the thing just kind of sits in a notebook for a couple of years. 2007 rolls around. They're pitching as a script, but initially as a live action film, if you can believe it. Like we're gonna do this in live action and do it up all properly. But as you can probably imagine,
so kind of like Hancock style.
Little bit, yeah, a little bit. I imagine there might be a little Hancock juice because again, it comes like a year later, so why not? A year. Wait, is it 2008 or 10? At a point, actually,
Hancock was like 2007, I think.
Sure. No, I think it might have been later, Tiki. But the point being that we're in kind of like the Hancock space, perhaps. I don't know. Anywho,
it's one Google away, my friend.
All right. Anyway, so okay, and honestly, it might have been 12. Now I'm thinking about it, but I don't know.
No, it was definitely in the 2000s.
Well, definitely it's the latter 2000. Anyway, so the point being, 2007 they're pitching this as a live action film. Doesn't quite fly, but they kind of end up in the animated camp.
2008. So, you were right the first time.
All right, this is what I get for doubting myself, folks. All right. So, point being, it's probably just staying in that Hancock space. So, animation's a little bit more viable. People who really take an interest in the script, Ben Stiller and Jeffrey Katzenberg, they really like it, and they're pitching it to Tom McGrath, the director of Madagascar 2, and basically the Madagascar franchise, the voice of the skipper.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so it's like right after they finished on that film, it's like, hey, here's we're looking at here, and Ben Stiller's on producing it. They're getting in the motions. Originally starts off as Mastermind. That's copyrighted. That's trademarked. Not like Titan. They couldn't clear it. So then we go to Ubermind, which didn't quite catch on, which then leads to Megamind. We have to keep the double M logo and everything. Megamind looks great. Originally, Ben Stiller was supposed to play Megamind, but I guess they kind of figured...
You got to keep the logo?
Oh, God. So Ben Stiller, he originally was to play Megamind, but he ended up kind of in the whole Bernard role, as it turned out. I guess he just wanted to be in it, but not be in it. Then Robert Downey Jr. was the other guy. They really were getting close to Downey Jr. playing him. Honestly, it was kind of coming down to like right before the record, I guess, because he was all marketed and everything. They were kind of saying, "Hey, we got a Robert Downey Jr. for this puppy," and then he was busy with the MCU. This is around the time of Iron Man. He's basically about to get into the mix of Iron Man 2 and everything by the time they're making this. So he's
pissed off Katzenberg.
Oh, you can. I mean, I don't know. I remember they kept announcing. They announced like Downey Jr. was the guy, but then then something changed. I don't know how down to the wire in terms of marketing and everything was. They didn't record with him, so. All right. Anyway, so then they go with the original pick in live action. The screenwriting duo. They were pitching it for Will Ferrell in the role of Megamind in live action. So lo and behold, we get him for the animated film. It all worked out like a charm, and he loved the arc of Megamind. It really sold them on it. Little fun fact: Guillermo del Toro. This is one of the famous ones where he, I believe, this is where he got his start working on the DreamWorks films in a consultant capacity.
Okay.
I want to say he's like in the neighborhood while he's working on Troll Hunters, while he's gestating the concept for the animated Troll Hunter show and everything, which you got to imagine takes time. So I want to say, going back to this, he's probably he came in at the end of this project. So Del Toro was given some notes. He came up with the whole falling to his death framing device. That was Del Toro's ad.
Mhm.
So the story really crystallized with, okay, we're going to do a little bit of Superman 78, little Batman 66 as our model here. We're going to use the aesthetic of Elvis versus Alice Cooper, kind of the the kind of the battle of rock and roll, so to speak. They have some other sci-fi nods like the Roman, the giant gorilla robot guy for Minion. A lot of little fun pulls all over the place, and we're simplifying story. We're not going to throw in like extra villains like the Doom Syndicate, like a trio of bad guys. We're going to get those guys out of the movie, and lo and behold, we have the movie that we have before us here. A lot of great stuff, and unfortunately, not a big winner at the box office in 2010. Sadly. And this resulted in, as Claudia brought up earlier, Megamind, one of the few animated movies not to get a sequel. And there's a reason for that, kids. It's a sad reason. Sad reason is Jeffrey Katzenberg got all high and mighty after the success of Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon, and then the low performance of this film, and he's saying, I think we're going to retire the quote-unquote parody films, which means no sequels. Well, we got a short film, which is really good. Button of Doom. That's one you should watch next, Tiki. That's kind of an idea what the sequel or a spin-off show would be for Megamind. Good stuff. Okay.
Feels like it should be at least a spin-off show, just because, God damn it, Dragon, they could market the hell out of the gadgets.
See, Tiki, doesn't it feel like the day and age we're at now, because this movie feels a little bit before its time. We're thinking about it. We're in the Iron Man 2 stage of the MCU at this point when this movie comes out. Where if this came out like now or like even like last year, we'd get like a DreamWorks would capitalize on the superhero climate that we're in right now. This.
Let's face it, DreamWorks needs a new franchise after How to Train Your Dragon.
Exactly. So that's So it's sad. It's
Abominable was true to its name. I'll say that much.
Yep.
All right.
Anyway. Yeah, so now we're going to kind of go by the highlights of the act, so to speak here. So
highlight reel. All right,
so act numero uno.
So we get a really good framing device that kind of feels almost Daredevil-esque, Dragon.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah.
Not Marvel Netflix Daredevil, Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Little bit, yeah.
They say before you die, your life flashes before your eyes. So we have Megamind falling to his death, and I love this as an opening shot because, of course, what are villains famous for doing, Dragon, especially in animated movies?
Monologuing.
Well, falling to their deaths, but yes.
No, you're right. That's the better answer. Yeah.
So it just sets him up and it's like, oh, what a day I've been having.
Well, one could say he's falling with style.
Right. All right. So then we get into this terrific opening sequence with the status quo kidnapping and the Metro Man Museum. Feels very Scooby-Doo-esque, Dragon. Honestly.
Yes, it does. But you want to talk about kind of the Superman origin of it all a little bit?
Oh yeah. Of course, sure.
So yeah, as I mentioned, Superman 78 clearly with the space. I'm your space dad of it all. That's clearly we're looking at Dorado. We're looking at
space dad. Oh my god.
We're looking at 78 big time, and it's basically this is like an irreverent twist on the Superman origin, kind of like what we do with the Elseworld stories all the time. And that's what I'm talking about. We have all sorts of great subtle pulls like that all over the place, and here we're really doing kind of a fun take on nature versus nurture. That's kind of the grounding theme of the movie with the Megamind stuff. It's like we. Megamind is, he's a good guy fundamentally with the potential for greatness, but he didn't hear that part. Potential for what? I didn't quite catch that last part. So he's always kind of. So he's raised in prison, much like Bane.
Can we keep him?
Which is great. So this is the absurdist idea. Like, what if he was raised in a prison, a la Bane, and
J.K. Simmons is the warden with a heart of gold.
Which, of course, two things. One is just the ingenious that we have J.K. Simmons. One, of course, for the Spider-Man role, but mainly he's the warden of the prison versus the prisoner, as as we've seen in Oz.
Oh God, right.
Which is quite fun, but also he's kind of like his Pa Kent in a sense. Because think about it, he is
Oh
sort
my
of
God, he kind of is.
He's de facto Pa Kent. He's de facto the guy who raised him. He's his de facto father figure.
Oh,
which is
that's
great.
fucking ridiculous, Dragon.
I know, but how wonderful is that, though? It's like, but again, it's less like a really loving dynamic. It's more like he's like the beleaguered father, so to speak. Like, oh, that trouble kid of mine. So that's what I'm saying. I love that. Basically, what we're doing here is, the kid is raised in prison and going to school and everything. He's treated as such by the school kids. Josh is the guy with the big blue head who comes to school from prison. It's basically we're looking at the old self-fulfilling prophecy to become a supervillain. Basically, everyone treats you like a villain. Therefore, of course, he's going to be a villain. Even though we the audience deep down we know this kid's a nice kid. This is a nice boy here. Look what we've done to him. We've condemned him. So Megamind, he takes us as his destiny. His cycle of life is losing to his hero, a path of failure, and deep down, he's not really a bad guy. Yeah.
I also am now realizing this is kind of Wreck-It Ralph before Wreck-It Ralph 2.
That's what I'm saying too. Beats it by a year. I mean, this movie it's
Katzenberg.
So basically, what we end up here, we have an empathetic Lex Luthor versus a show-offy Superman. That's kind of status quo we got here.
Like I said, Dragon, the thing that sold me on Metro Man from the trailers is that he's not really a jerk per se. He's more just kind of a show-off. You know what I mean? And there is a difference.
Yeah, like he's no Homelander by any stretch.
Oh God! Oh my God! Although I could see Brad Pitt playing Homelander in a different universe, certainly. but yeah, no, I really do like the fact that Metro Man, he's a little full of himself, but it's not like the stereotypical like evil Superman that we usually deal with.
Exactly. I mean, again, I'm so tired of that. So this was a fun.
I know you are.
I mean, we're all tired of that, honestly. But anyway. So again, kind of this Act 1, like the flashbacks and everything, we have these great seeds planted. Like we have both Megamind and Metro Man's destinies. The dehydration gun minion having a little robot body made out of a soup can initially. It's a lot of great stuff there, and of course, then we're getting to the whole dedication museum stuff. Then we're getting the kind of status quo. And you're right, very Scooby Doo, very rinse and repeat. Just a great distillation of the classic, it's schoolyard heroics of the highest order. It's literally schoolyard. Like hey, we kidnapped the girl. It's up to the hero's got to save him from the villain. Mustache twirl.
Yeah. And just right away, we get just a ton of gags, a ton of character setup. We set up Roxy, we set up Hal. Very, very economic in the storytelling department.
Absolutely. By the way, I love how clever Megamind's escape is with the the disguised generator watch and the invisible car. Which how awesome is the invisible car?
That's a great payoff too.
Of course, we meet Minion again. How wonderful! Let's take a minute to acknowledge how wonderful David Cross is.
Dragon, I will say it's interesting that you brought up the design. I've never really cared for Minion's design all that much.
Like even now, or just never?
Even now, honestly.
Really? That's surprising.
There's something weird about the scale of it, like the small fish head and the gorilla body, like. I don't know. It's the one thing in this movie that's always like I like him as a character. I think David Cross does a great job, but I don't know. There's just something that just doesn't quite sit right with me, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
Well, I don't know what that's all about, but anyway, but the point being, though, you're right. Though I just love the pleasant demeanor of me. I love the idea. He's kind of like the Alfred and the sidekick all in one here. Where his whole purpose is to look after him. He's been given to him from birth. These two guys they're like brothers, if not something more. They're the best of buddies. They're linked at the hip, man. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's always just so giddy, and they have great chemistry. I felt it's wonderful. So also, I think we might want to refresh the image or something because we're kind of I don't know what happened. We're just kind of looking at white right now.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, the point being, Just clever escape the whole thing. Like, we just kept pretending to be the warden. We set up that disguise generator, which is going to be very pivotal in our story later. Again, nothing wasted, kids. So yeah, Roxanne Ritchie. I think one of Tina Fey's finest performances. Honestly, I know it might say like, well, what about her? Nothing. I don't know. She's really good in this movie, though. I just love her. I just love her in this and the Muppets Most Wanted. I think those are some of the best performances she's given. Quite fun.
Yeah, Muppets Most Wanted, absolutely, and this. Honestly, Dragon. Besides those two things, I've never really cared for her in much else.
I've never watched 30 Rock, so I can't really speak to how she is as like her big iconic role. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I've always been really impressed with her as kind of the self-aware Lois Lane in this movie.
I've watched a bit of 30 Rock, and what I don't like about 30 Rock is kind of like how wink, wink, nudge, nudge it is.
Mm.
Like, hey, you get it? You get it? It's kind of like that kind of humor.
I see.
Like, kind of smug and self-aware. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that type of humor. So maybe it's not even necessarily her performance in 30 Rock. Maybe it's just the fact that I don't really care for that type of comedy. All right, anyways.
So in our status quo, we set up everything we need to know about kind of the dynamic between all these guys here. We're again Roxanne Ritchie. She's the girl being kidnapped on the playground for the 100th time, and the Megamind's trying to impress her with his evil villainy. And Metro Man. It's a battle. I love how they're both about showmanship and presentation. They're all very much about he's playing the Elvis song when he bursts through the wall, and Megamind. Again, this is where it gets the big credo design wise for the film with these two. It's Elvis versus Alice Cooper of the showmanship. It's wonderful. It's great. They got great banter and everything. I mean, the whole.
What do you think of the soundtrack, Dragon?
I love the soundtrack to this movie. One may have great Hans Zimmer score, but I mean the song choice I think is so on point, and so I think it's a lot better than anything DreamWorks has done when they just kind of pull from the library of songs ordinarily. What do you think?
I think it's on point. I honestly, I think it's a little bit repetitive, just because they're kind of going for the same sort of tone for the song. Like, that's why I prefer something like the Awesome Mixes, because the Awesome Mixes kind of like have a little bit of everything when it comes to the genres, but they still fit the music, they still fit the story. But in terms of fitting the story, you can't get much better.
Yeah.
So
right. Let's see. So again, also once we have really great stuff here, like Megamind enacting the death trap with all the trimmings, like it's so scary, and then the spider's new. Spider? Oh yes, the spied Arachnus Deathicus. One of course, my spider, it bit me. It's all this ridiculous, fun, over the top kind of stuff. This is the thing. Tom McGrath, I feel he can really do a lot of great comedy. Of course, Tom McGrath, I think this is the best he ever hit with his directing stuff. Madagascar, I mean, it kind of ran out of gas a little bit. It wasn't bad, but it kind of ran out
I
of
feel
gas.
like this is him taking the kind of the Looney Tunes aesthetic of Madagascar and mixing it with a more serious tone and a more thematic story.
Sure. That's a great way of putting it, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, we have the fun, over-the-top, again, tongue-in-cheek kind of hero banter, which, Brad Pitt and Will Ferrell are just really funny against each other here. This is ridiculously fun conversation about these moral platitudes of, justice is a non-corrosive metal. Melted by the heat of revenge. It's revenge! This whole, again, how do you feel the Megamind mispronunciations? I love them.
I like it because they don't force it down our throats. You know what I mean? It's not like every word he mispronounces. It's just certain words.
Just the odd pearl now and again, but it's just so
right, yeah.
Like revenge, matrosity, which again has a story thing later on. So, the whole extent, of course, Tina Fey coming in here with the whole, girls, you're both pretty. Can I go home now? This is what I'm talking about. She just hits the lines with just a little bit of sass, and I just love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so big exciting incident of the film. And now let's get down to the brass tacks of a premise here, kids. Let's talk the death, in quotes, of Metroman.
Okay, well, first of all, Dragon, I got to admit, man, the reveal. I mean, we'll get there, but god damn, does it work on a rewatch?
I know.
But yeah, I just love the Metro Man faking his weakness, basically like faking a kryptonite. That's a really clever way to get out of it. And it's played so dramatically, right? It's like it's played so like the world sees what Megamind sees, where Megamind is as heartbroken by is as heartbroken by what's going on and what happened as everyone else is, and we see that through his eyes as the moment happens. It's like he doesn't know how to take in the fact that he won. He just like it's hard for him to process right from the get go.
It just his moment of like shock and recognition is so great. Like I did it, and they're all of course everyone going I did it. Well, that's great too. But of course his plan was really clever too. By the way, again, didn't think it was like going to actually kill him, but still, it's the whole plan of like subvert. Again, the subversions just begin here with the observatory, where you have the fake observatory versus the real one. Great editing overall. The movie has great editing too, by the way. Because again, we have like these great kind of tonal edits where we go from one observatory to the next. So it's a trick of the editing as well as with Metro Man going to the wrong observatory. And there's all sorts of stuff like that. Like when he gets bitten by the thing, he's screaming to the crowd, screaming stuff like that. He just kind of lucks into that copper weakness in quotes. And of course, the death rate. I love the mundanity with Megamind, where he's just dealing with like all these like. It's warming up. What? Come again? The death ray is warming up. The sun is warming up. I've told you countless times.
That feels like an improv, Dragon. Was that an improv?
There's a lot of improv in this movie, so I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Some warming up though might be. I think the ruminating on it might be Will Ferrell going off though. So of course the reveal of that skeleton, which I think they might have gotten from Booster Gold. I don't know how true that. I mean, it's something similar to what he did when he faked his death. But point being is that skeleton thing is awesome. Just where like we entered like the whole man who killed Batman.
Shocking moment, honestly, for a DreamWorks movie.
And again, had he not come back, I don't think they would have gotten away with it.
Oh no, I don't think so.
This is what I'm saying. DreamWorks is using the irreverency points that they've built up with with the both successes and misses, and they're doing stuff with it now. It's like we can now earn like the man who killed Batman shenanigans, like in the what if premise of what if now let's get into the premise of the movie. What if the villain won? What does he do now? He never expected this day would ever come. So now, he's taken over, and again, like it's so much. Like imagine the most horrible, terrifying thing and multiply it by 6, and I will get back to you in the meantime while I'm figuring it out. Just that wasn't improv. The whole multiply it by 6. That's
sure.
That's great. So the press conference stuff is gold, and just honestly, on the whole, I just want to get this in there. Megamind. I love the setbacks make Megamind who he is fundamentally, both in the comedy, but also like the little bit where he has all this presentation, yet when Minion's pushing the button on the boombox, he plays "Loving You," like this cheesy song on the playlist. It's just these are the moments that remind you why you love the guy and why you root for him. Because again, it's many people love the comparison. I think it's an apt comparison. Dr. Horrible from Dr. Horrible Sing Along blog. You like the guy?
He's God, yes, absolutely. Oh my God,
absolutely. Certainly, and that basically. So long story short, Megamind, he's successful for a change, and I love that he's just it's such a foreign idea to him because his whole identity, his whole life thing has been. The failing end of the spectrum here. It's like it's lose, but again, gotta love him. He never gives up. He keeps on trying because that's what he does.
Well, just not to jump too far ahead, Dragon, but of course, I would say the thesis statement that the movie is setting up is that great line at the end. The benefit of losing. You get to learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely. I mean, he comes back with like better ideas. It's even cooler ideas. Like, we didn't even get to see Robo Sheep, but I'm sure it would have been fantastic. So he's then like basically after he's stolen everything. I mean, if you look in the room, Tiki, he's stolen like the Ark of the Covenant. He's stolen the Maltese Falcon. Just see
right.
Starry Night, like a whole room full of treasures and everything. He's having an existential Minion, can't you see I'm having an existential conversation with this dead-eyed plastic desk toy? It's great. The movie is an MVP.
I know how you feel, plastic bed, constantly bobbing up and down for sustenance.
Always thirsty, never satiated, or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So basically, again, this is like I keep using this comparison because again, it was echoing in my mind during the movie. Again, it's a little bit like when the Joker thinks Batman's gone. It's the famous line, Mark Hamill's favorite line. Without Batman, crime has no punchline. It's like without
Yes,
a photo
absolutely.
without a photo fight, it's too easy now. Minion, we have it all. Why do I feel so melancholy?
Melancholy.
He has no purpose, and that's the thing gets him out of bed in the morning. It's so again, we kill our hero in the first 20 minutes of the movie, which is which is genius. And we have like all these again, like he can't try out the illiteracy beam, Typhoon Cheese or Robo Sheep. So Megamind, he's lost, doesn't know what to do, which brings us into Act Two.
Yes. Okay, so Act Two, of course, starts with basically the destruction of the museum. You want to take us through that a little bit?
Yes. Bernard, is the curator. I love how this museum at each point, each act of this movie has two things. It has something with the museum where we erect kind of our flash museum for Metro Man. We blow it up at the start of Act Two, and then we have the Megamind Museum by the end of the movie.
It also feels, like I said, the museum is one of the things that feels very Scooby-Doo-esque because it's kind of like that central location where sort of all the mysteries go down.
Sure, yeah. And also the other thing too is that again each act starts with the creation of a hero. Think of it. We have the origin story with Metro Man, or technically Megamind, if you want to like kind of look at it retroactively. You have the whole Titan thing at Act Two, and then by Act Three we have the real hero who kind of shows himself. The old movie, big blue guy. But yeah, so in this museum we I love that we have this chance encounter between Bernard and Roxanne Ritchie, who basically they have this. They're kind of. Again, when I say Bernard now, I mean Megamind disguised as Bernard. I should specify.
Yeah, it's going to get a little confusing there.
Well, no, this is a great thing where I got Ben Stiller. I love it in a sense he played Megamind at the end of the day. When of course
I am that intellectual nerd that's dating Roxanne.
Moi. So yeah, it was like this little Ben Stiller cameo in which he then transforms. It's a cheat, but it's a wonderful cheat because you can't you lose a little bit of the chemistry and everything if it's Ben Stiller versus Megamind as the voice.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Whole movie. I love how if you look at him, I love how the design of Bernard once he perks up does look remarkably like Megamind in the head shape and everything. It's great.
He does, yeah.
So I love that basically, yeah, the blue shirt and everything, yeah. So I love how Roxanne and Megamind, in a sense, here they kind of bond over the death of Metro Man. They kind of asking the big introspective questions, and they're kind of like they're realizing, man, these two crazy kids have a lot of chemistry. Man, we should get these two crazy kids together. I don't know. They got chemistry. They got shared life experience here, and again, all under the Bernard guys. So it's So they're bonding over their grief of status quo, and they're kind of longing for what they had, and they're trying to find a way to move forward. And coincidentally, she gives him a big old light bulb moment. The old light bulb moment of heroes aren't born, they're made. Again, the whole nature versus nurture idea: are they born or are they made? Ultimately, well, yeah.
That leads to the darkest part of the movie for me, Dragon, which is Hal.
Yes.
Man, Hal is kind of where we get into kind of the kick-ass style, real world ramifications of this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So basically, Hal Stewart, he's kind of he's basically Jimmy Olsen unromanticized. Mixed with Jonah Hill. Like take Jonah Hill and then use an unromanticized version of Jimmy Olsen. Think about it.
I wish you didn't say Jimmy Olsen because it's so true. It's so true, Dragon. Oh, man.
See, Tiki, the famous thing about Jimmy Olsen is I'm sure you've kind of glimpsed a little bit here is that Jimmy Olsen, he's been through the ringer over the years, especially in the Silver Ages. And that's the running gag with Jimmy Olsen. He's been everything in the DC universe. So everything's happened to this kid.
Sure.
So him turning into a superhero is again pretty much a direct pull for at one point in the comics, Jimmy Olsen turns into a superhero for a bit, and then he's a monster for another bit. It's like this and that. So basically, we're doing that, and we're doing a little bit of with the name, Hal Stewart, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, a little Green Lantern nod. So that's why he's chosen by the infuser gun.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I don't know, man. Just the thing that I find so disturbing about Hal is the fact that it's kind of just like, what if you took a guy who seems like a decent guy on the surface,
Yeah.
and then give him powers, and just it's like the ultimate kind of like how power can bring out the worst in someone. You know what I mean? And
I mean,
it's really realistic in the way it's portrayed.
I mean, cliche, but on point as it may be. I mean, again, with with great power comes great responsibility. This kid does not take that lesson.
Exactly. Also, Dragon, I feel like this movie was really ahead of its time when it came to like, like workplace, like overstepping boundaries and shit like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah. And again, it's like I love how we're not like pointing out with a giant neon sign, but by the same token, we're showing there's something off with this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I feel like when he hires the wedding photographer, I
Yeah,
feel like that's the point where it's like, all right, this guy's over the line. Before it might have maybe just been a little pathetic, but then the wedding photographer is like, okay, buddy, cool your jets.
exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, what if you took the charm out of Jimmy Olsen, where it's like, it's that on surface you're thinking Olsen, but in reality, oh yeah, oh god, that's like it's like the whole Jimmy Olsen was there first, like before Clark Kent rolled around. Hey, I was hanging out around with Lois.
Exactly.
So so again, I love that. Again, we take nature versus nurture and we literalize it with the whole. We're gonna make a hero with Hal and the whole infuser gun, kind of like, and he's kind of chosen by it. But I love that. I love that we also do this thing where Megamind creates. He thinks a hero, but he actually creates a villain, which is one of the age-old famous ideas of the heroes creating their own villains. We literalize it, which is so clever. So we're literalizing all this. So we should talk about the
I
brand.
love the moment where he discovers all the stuff that he's stolen.
Oh, it's funny. They reused some props for some other DreamWorks movies. The bike
Oh,
in that
really?
it's from B movie. He stole the bike from B movie.
Oh my god! Wow, that's great.
But yes, like
Use those assets, y'all.
it doesn't belong to me.
Right.
He turns so, oh god, he turns so bad. That's again. It's like if you give such a guy who's again, it doesn't necessarily. You got to pick the right person. You got to pick a guy who actually has like a heroic moments. But it's like this is why we pick Steve Rogers for the Captain America thing versus the bully. This is why.
Right.
This is why we pick these things carefully. Wait, let's talk. We got to talk about the space dad of it all.
Oh god! Oh man! This is like by far the most irreverent joke in the movie, and they play it so goddamn straight.
So, oh god, we just. I should also mention this. Don't all the costumes and everything look fantastic in this movie? Because they actually brought Taylor in to coordinate with the animators on like the clothing simulators, so to make it look as flawless. And, like the way they did like the brand, to make it look not kind of like the Brando stuff we had in Superman 78, the whole like reflective material, but there's like a glitter powder thing on it. You notice?
Yeah.
I love like all of these, like the capes and everything, all that. Like they cracked the code on how to do that with all these elaborate, like the Black Mamba and everything, the capes and everything. It took a lot of doing. But Space Dad's so silly, so fun. Originally, it was supposed to be Pat Morita.
Oh wow. Okay.
Back when it was supposed to be in live action, they were going to try to get the actual, because again, I believe he was around like in 03.
Yeah.
Trying to get Pat Morita. But yeah, it was Space Dad is just this hysterical like bad Brando impression that just like,
Dragon, like I said, the best thing about it is the fact that it's by far the silliest thing in the movie, and also one of the things that the movie plays the most straight. Like that combination just kills me.
because Megamind's actually doing a good job. Had it
That's
taken,
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
because again, he's doing everything again. Like we see, Megamind does again. Little does he know, he actually has absolutely the chops to make a hero. Because again, he's dealt with heroes all these years, so he knows what makes a hero, what he looks for in a hero. Therefore, he'd be perfect for training this guy. Unfortunately, his choice of guy was severely flawed. But again, it was a sheer cosmic accident. But yeah, self-involved cameraman using his powers to get the girl unsuccessfully. Which again, speaking of the 78 nods with Space Dad, I think one of the funniest sequences we have the anti "Can you read my mind" scene from Superman 78, where he takes Roxanne Ritchie. Because again, Space Dad recommended, like, yeah, once you save her, you'll be yours, and the city will love you. And of course, like, hey, I'm gonna do this a day early. One, I'm gonna break the plan already. I'm gonna grab the girl. I'm gonna save her a few times by intentionally dropping her and catching her again. just hysterical. Just oh god. Oh boy. So. Just a lot of fun there. So the story of Titan, most assuredly, kind of I don't know if tragedy is the right word, but a disaster. Disaster is definitely. So let's see. So then ultimately our payoff here. We also should touch on. I mean, I kind of brought up a little bit, but anything you want to say on the relationship between Roxanne and Megamind, like kind of the rain scene or anything?
I mean, I think it's a sweet kind of budding relationship, and I like that they don't dwell on the lie revealed of it all. But other than that, I don't really have a ton to say about them.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I love the whole what about not judging a book by its cover? Which no, she doesn't do that, but she does judge it by the contents of the book. Like, well, one, you lied to me. You created this Titan guy. That's not earning any points. But again, I love the whole where you're kind of Megamind's dealing with the tropes of like the bad guy doesn't get the girl, and it's really kind of that's really sticking in his crawl here. And basically, they're both. I love how Roxanne knows for a fact that they had chemistry, they had a lot to bond with, and again, he wasn't necessarily lying about a lot of stuff. That's why it's not a traditional lie reveal.
Exactly.
But they're both trapped by status quo, and that's something she has to reconcile. And that's kind of what the whole movie's getting at by Act 3. Like, yeah, we got to break free of the status quo, guys. We can't just go by the old schoolyard heroics because there's more layers to it. The people are more complicated. So all this boils to a head with our big giant robot showdown. How do you feel about the giant robot, Tiki?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, just this whole sequence is like it's just as good as any action sequence in any Marvel movie, Dragon, honestly.
They actually brought in some of the Iron Man previs guys on this to make it look so good.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, just the staging and the pacing, the fact that we're getting some great comedy out of Will Ferrell's reactions.
I love when they're fencing, and again, she's tried to train him with banter and everything when they're doing like fencing with these giant lampposts or telephone poles or something. He's just like going at him like, I don't really know I don't really know where to go with that. So yeah, at the low of lows, we're kind of going forward with the plan here. I think the saddest part within the low of lows, as heartbreaking as that rain scene was, Minion. He and Minion getting into that ridiculous fight.
Right.
Have fun on your date. I will. That doesn't even make any sense. I know. But yeah, it's just so sad to see him because him saying I don't need you anymore, and him going out in the Segway, and it's really I'll just take my thing and go. I love how ridiculous it is, but you feel so bad that these two guys have been in each other's lives all this time. There's going and just he leaves him with the dramatic suit up of the Black Mob. I love that dramatic suit up so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, the action I completely concur with you. The action is great, but again, I love the building tension within it, where Megamind doesn't quite get that this isn't going to go the way he wants. Okay, this is going to get a little murdery. This is going to get we're going to get a little dash of Homelander in there. This kid doesn't play by the Superman rules at all. This Titan wants to melt his head. So a danger he didn't account for, and the copper ain't working, which is highly suspect. Hal isn't a hero by choice, so why? And again, it makes absolutely logical sense. If Hal isn't a hero by choice, why would he play by the rules and the status quo, which leads to a really scary, intimidating chase, near death of Megamind, and then our low of lows, city's in disaster. They got a new despot running around, and Megamind has created a real, honest-to-goodness bad guy. Bum, bum, bum.
All right.
Yeah.
So then we get into Act 3, Dragon, Roxy and, Roxanne and Megamind. Yeah, I know. And Megamind need to find a solution. They need to find some sort of hero who can save them. And who is that, Dragon?
Well, not necessarily Metromon, more different MM. I know I ain't talking the boys. It's Music Man.
Yeah, you know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of Rockadoodle of all things.
God. Well, you know, it's funny. The inside of his little sanctum here, which I love that it's inside the Schul house, by the way. It's just because he didn't go off with it. I wonder, what did he do with that school? Again, nothing wasted. I love it. Inside of it looks a little like kind of Elvis's Graceland, a little bit, which is kind of great. All the gold records and everything.
Right. So I love the beat where he like walks in casually and then he sees the two of them and he kind of like slowly starts to creep out of the room. Great comedy animation there.
Yep, and of course he's grabbing a sandwich. So Metro Man has some splaining to do. So seriously though, I love how we parallel Megamind and Metro Man in that they both have a crisis of identity in this movie. They both went a different way with it. Megamind's came after Metro Man disappeared, obviously. Metro Man's reason for disappearing is that Megamind was perfectly happy with the status quo. That's his whole arc this movie. He wants to get back to the status quo before he realizes that's not the way to go. Metro Man kind of has his arc before he does, where no, you gotta live the best version of yourself. You gotta do what you want. Again, choice is big. You know, you gotta choose to be a hero. He just kind of was he was just kind of going down the Destiny's path there, and he just kind of got tired of it. So he has a choice where I do have a choice. I could leave this if I wanted to, which it's selfish, but it is a fair question. Like, I mean, it's like after all the stuff Superman does, maybe he gets tired after a while. Like maybe the world can solve its own problems. You kind of get it.
It's a better version of the dilemma he's facing in Batman v Superman.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, first of all, we're talking about it, which that's the first thing we need to do when Batman v Superman.
Right. Not just having folks, a bubble bath with Lois Lane and kind of sulking about it.
Folks, I love visual storytelling as much as the next guy, but I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes a look can't convey everything. Sometimes, you know, Superman's looking awfully bummed out. Why?
Right.
Can he say anything? Can he talk to anybody? So we actually have that conversation here with Metro Man. Again, obviously Roxanne doesn't like this explanation. She's brashing all sorts of things over his head, which is great.
But I do love the how the super speed is illustrated.
Yeah, they kind of call this flash time these days, like in the Flash show, where you can move so fast everything's just going in slow motion. But yeah, you know what's really cool about this scene, Tiki? Remember in the earlier scene when Metro Man fakes his death?
Yes.
In the moment where Megamind is like, and unleash the power of the sun, there's like a pause there. If you freeze frame, you can see Metro Man in the scene. He blips in there for a second because you can see it's all the way back in the early part of the movie. You see him in super speed if you pause the frame at the right point.
Oh, nice.
But yes, you love him going around in slow motion.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I just think it's very artfully done, and I love how thoughtful the scene is.
Yeah, I mean, he's going all over the place. He's snacking now and again, hence the sandwich is probably, it's like, he's really snacking all over the place if you look at it. Yeah, what's great about this, too, is that we take the easy solution off the table. Like, we can't have Metro Man fix our problems. We got to take him off the table.
Yeah, totally.
Off the board, which is great story-wise, you know, again, so...
as a kid, not as a kid, but, you know, the first time I saw this, when I was in college, I was very disappointed, but... now I get it.
Certainly. We use Metro Man to tee up probably the biggest theme of the film, which is very simple and something I think every superhero film should have. One of the big themes every superhero movie should have. It's never too late to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. Great message. Great moral to the thing here, where, again, Megamind, after all his villainy, he could do the right thing. He could. So, again, by putting the whole choice thing in the play, where obviously Metro Man made kind of an irresponsible choice, faking his death and everything. Look, if he wants to give, that's the moral for kids. If he wanted to hang it up, he just should have hanged it up and just announced it. But no, he just had to fake his death. That's where he went wrong with that. Anyway, so point being, a choice can play into the change of it all being the idea there. So, and of course, really good line here: when there is bad, good will rise up against it. I love how that kind of, it's a little moment that these two share. They don't really share a lot of time together, Megamind and Metroman, but that little moment, it kind of speaks to you, doesn't it? Just kind of like, these two guys have been in each other's lives since birth, technically. They bumped into each other.
For sure.
It's like the little interaction between them in this movie, outside of like monologuing and the whole, like, the whole, pedestaling of like, revenge and all that sort of stuff. But it's quite fun. Mm-hmm. Megamind initially, the full circle quality really comes into play here. We go back to prison. Megamind, he's like, I can't fight this guy. I'm not a good guy. I'm going back to prison to hide from Titan.
Yeah. So that results in the reunion between him and Minion. Of course, at first we think it's a heartfelt scene between him and J.K. Simmons.
Yep. If you want me to say it, I'll say it. I'm sorry. Not by There's J.K. Simmons in little doses. Any dose of J.K. Simmons will do the job. I'm saying, even here in little doses, he does such a great job, doesn't he?
Well, I think he's memorable. I mean, he's memorable mostly just because it's like, hey, it's J.K. Simmons, but still,
Yeah. So, I do love that, he and Minion, they have that great scene where they make up, and it's like, you fantastic fish you, and seriously, it's just them being on the same page, and like, honestly, I think Minion would have been on board for any change Megamind would have made, and that's kind of what the scene's all about here. Like, I need you to be honest with yourself. What do you want? And I'll be here to support you. That's kind of what the scene's about, and then they're all buddy again. Like, he apologized for treating him like dirt, and like, we're kind of like, shooting him down, and he's confronting him with the facts in that last scene they shared when they kind of broke up. So they're all skipping along. I always love this beat. I don't know how you felt. I'm sure I love this bit here where they're on their way out, and the Minion tied up the warden to use the image thing on himself. Says like, "Good luck, fellas. Well, we're gonna die."
Right.
And he gives that nod. Yeah, they're probably gonna die. But good luck, fellas. I love he's on their side though. Good luck, fellas. Attaboy, Clarence. Okay, so
I mean, pretty much.
Let's get to the fight night of it all here, kids. Let's get to Megamind taking on Titan.
All right, so yeah, honestly, I don't think it's quite as memorable as the second act fight, but it's definitely got a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah, a lot of fun subversions and surprises in this fight. Because initially we got the scale and the stakes of the Metro Tower, I think, are quite great. Because when Titan is swinging this thing, what they did here is they made this proportional to, it's taller than the tallest tower in Dubai, which is the tallest building in the world. So that's what they're working with scale wise here.
That's cool. That's cool that they took the time to reference that.
Yeah. So I mean, this is like the tallest building you're ever going to see proportionally ever. So basically, we're like the scale, which when the gravity swings it like a bat, when he dings the building, my God, the effects and the debris animation, the animation is flawless. This is DreamWorks' first city, by the way. Now they attempted it in Madagascar, but they can only build it like a set. They couldn't build like an actual city.
Right. Madagascar was more kind of just like individual city streets. Yeah. It wasn't so much like a fully fleshed out city. Yeah.
It's like a subway, zoo, and like maybe a street. That's about all they got. This is like the whole. That's the big claim to fame in this movie. The first time they've had to do like a giant city. So of course, Megamind using his presentational skills and the presentation and theatrics with like a giant Alice Cooper display. He used like 100,000 brain bots to do his giant Megamind head in the sky, and he's riding on this awesome, kind of flying motorcycle. It's awesome. It's as metal as it gets, man. It's awesome. So then we get the Metro Man of it all, and this was a great. How did you feel about the Metro Man reveal?
Oh yeah, I mean, I liked it because it gave us a little bit more Brad Pitt.
And you know what's great about this is my favorite performance of Brad Pitt in the movie, because the way Megamind, as we reveal, Megamind is pretending to be Metro Man, using the image, using the disguise generator. And Megamind, again, idealizing what he thinks of as a hero, he's basically playing Metro Man like full-on Christopher Reeve versus Showboaty at the start. He's like, I love the charm Brad Pitt gets across here. It's like, well, reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
And of course, like you said, Dragon, at first we think it's like, oh, they're all right, they're taking the easy way out. They're bringing Metro Man in for the save. But you know what? Brad Pitt's charming. We can, we can handle it.
Exactly, but then we have the even better reveal that again, because if it was Metro Man, it would have gotten the job done, but it would have been too easy and would have robbed Megamind of the growth. And the idea that the Megamind, he is he's idealizing the hero that he's becoming the hero that he basically we're literalizing the arc again. Megamind has become the hero.
Yeah, Dragon, really quick. Trevor in the comments. Hey, Trevor, nice to see you.
Hey, Trevor.
Yeah. He goes back a long ways, Dragon. A long ways. What about B-Movie and New York City?
That is okay. That's that's a fair point. Yeah, I guess I forgot about that. I mean, I don't know. Yes, but I'm trying to remember.
This is an original city that's fully fleshed out.
Well, you definitely have that, but even so, B-Movie, I'm trying to wonder like how much did we explore that city? Because I think we mainly had a street, but
no, I think you're right. It's like from what I remember, we had like the tennis court, we had like the courtroom.
We have locations, but not a city.
Right. I think you're right.
Because the only time we're in the city is like we have. That's what I'm saying. I think we have like a elongated street in that, where again, like we have like the car thing, where it's going through the cars. That's about as cityscape as we get. But still, it's like we're going through all sorts of buildings and like areas and everything, like boroughs and everything here. All right. So yeah, let's see. So again, Megamind becoming the hero, literally with the projector and everything. And Jeffrey Katzenberg had a smart idea. Gasp! Katzenberg, he came up with the idea of Roxanne revealing to everybody, "Hey, Megamind was your hero the whole time."
Yeah, that was nice. That was a nice character moment for her.
It was. So I love the fact that Monstrosity was the giveaway, where he scares the crap out of Titan, tells him to get out of Dodge. Like, only one person I know calls this place Monstrosity. Like, oops. Oh, so that's the giveaway, and I love how Tiki, I'm sounding a broken record, so forgive me. We bring everything back. Every part of the Buffalo, man. We used the invisible card that he lost during that heartbreaking scene, by the way. He forgot where the invisible card was because it was so sad. So sad. So we use the invisible card and the dehydration gun to save the day. Again, his past failures in the movie have led to, again, him learning from said failures, which leads to him saving the day. Diffusing Titan, and day is saved. And everyone gets the help. Roxanne gets the help. Again, Roxanne accepts Megamind. She also got the help in there, reminding him of, oh my God, remember the invisible car? It's in the back of the invisible car. Good stuff.
And of course, what's a DreamWorks movie without a dance party, Dragon?
Yep. So Megamind, he finally had a reason to win all this time, and the crowds accept. They go for the little Rocky huddle.
You know what, Dragon? I think this one is more plot justified than most of them.
I'm inclined,
especially considering one of the big themes of the movie is presentation.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's the fact that the music, it doesn't feel like attacked on like, hey, here's a little bonus feature of the DreamWorks dance party.
Right.
To the dance party. It doesn't feel like that. It's not like what we kept capitalizing with the Shrek and everything of it all. It feels. You gotta admit, remember how trippy it was, Tiki? 2010, I guess, How to Train Your Dragon being the exception, all movies ended with the dance party.
Dragon, it wasn't just 2010.
Well, no, I'm saying, think about it. You had Toy Story 3, you had Despicable Me, you had...
No, I know. I'm just saying, the dance party thing, that extended far beyond 2010. I mean, it wasn't every single animated movie, but it was a craze, Dragon.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, you're...
It was a thing for a long time.
Oh, so, Bob, I'm sorry, before we kind of wrap things up with the dance party, I got to mention, too, the Minion death fake-out. What did you think about the little death fake-out with Minion?
It was honestly pretty convincing.
I know, it was a very beautiful scene. David Cross was playing there, he was just kind of like, the Code Runner is really funny, by the way. There are a lot of folks who are glazing over some really funny and great set pieces. You got to forgive us. There's a lot to talk about, but they're great. great. Like going through the lab, and when Bernard and Roxanne like stumble upon the lab because Minion left the welcome mat out. I kept forgetting where it was. Oh, you dim-witted creation of science! This. So yes, Minion's death though is absolutely seemed like, oh god, he took the sacrificial hit for Megamind. He's a goner, but no, he's a fish. So let's just throw him in the water. He's fine. It makes sense. And again, Megamind, he had a reason to win this whole time with Roxanne, which kind of brings everyone going to a little victory Rocky kind of moment. That where he pulls a gun on him, which is gold. He says, "Get back, you savages!" These little positive reinforcement cue the dance party.
All right. Okay, so final thoughts, Dragon. Like I said, I really do feel like a fool, like an absolute fool, for judging this movie based on but Brad Pitt's only in like 2 scenes. And no, man, this movie is not about Brad Pitt. Maybe it was mismarketed to a certain extent, but this movie is just like an excellent subversion of the superhero genre, and it's definitely one of DreamWorks' absolute best. I would say it's definitely DreamWorks' best non-franchise movie by a country mile. Except for El Dorado. Like you said, Dragon, this and El Dorado are kind of neck and neck with each other. I think they kind of have sort of similar qualities. Like they kind of, they're kind of like parodying, like they're kind of like a loving take on an old concept. In this case, the Donner Superman movies, and in El Dorado's case, the Road 2 movies. And they both just have great casts. And anyways, I'm trailing off here. But yeah, just one of DreamWorks' best. Yeah, I feel like we've pretty much run the gauntlet on things to say. So,
well, let me. One moment I'm going to mention. I'm going to wrap in the final thought here. Is that again, in addition to the whole dance party shenanigans of it all, I mean, it's just such an uplifting ending too. Just the whole, Metro Man approves in the crowd, just like he's like the faceless man in the crowd, just saying like, "Way to go, little buddy! I knew you had it in you." Which is it's a really great kind of thumbs up from Poppy moment, and Roxanne just putting the white cape on. You look good in white, man. There's like the last pose in the movie. He is Megamind. He got the girl. He saved the day, and he kind of made the papers in a positive way with the whole kind of device we're looking at right now, with all the strings and the plans and the hanging papers and everything. It was quite. It's quite fitting. It was just quite kind of a perfect end. I mean, in closing, final thoughts. I mean, 2010, great year for animated films. I adore this film. Needs to be appreciated more. It's so much more than a parody film. Sometimes we say parody film like it's a dirty word. Not always the case, but still,
it's an homage.
Yeah, exactly. It's a loving homage. That's kind of proper kind of bolstering of. I mean, think about it, Tiki. This is Cobra Kai before Cobra Kai, in a sense. With adding layers to a villain who you root for as your lead. Think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom McGrath was a great choice for this. It's Tom McGrath at his finest. This is why I'm always like, when Boss Baby comes around, I'm going to give it a shot. And of course, a little iffy, but still, Tom McGrath.
Man.
Yeah, credit in the bank is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But again, all the elements came together for this, and again, ultimately, sad to say, but still, I mean, it's a great one-off versus like a franchise movie, where all these DreamWorks films we kind of turned into a franchise, franchise.
Yeah.
I do wish we got more. We got Button of Doom, which is quite nice. Again, it's like another El Dorado. Gem lost the time, enriching those who discover it. More relevant and well timed than ever in the wake of the MCU and the boys and so on and so forth. Today, as we as we look into the tropes and look a little deeper at these sorts of things, I just. Got a lot of love for it. Always going to have some nostalgia for it. And again, it's a great film. People watch it, celebrate, and again, 10 years rolls around, worth another look.
Right. Thanks for watching, folks. We will be back tomorrow with the October edition of Movie Memoirs. Very, very exciting there. Oh, God. Draken, do you want to do the...
I don't think... I think we're going to not do that.
All right. Can I do it?
No!
Okay, fine. I'll post my answers in the comments, Trevor. I'll post my answers in the comments. All right. Okay, I'm sorry, folks. Dragon, give us a funny line to end out on.
I'm quaking in my custom baby seal leather boots.